Welcome to the 110th episode of Talk the Book program, which is being held on every Friday in the afternoon from 3 to 4 o'clock, which is being was inaugurated by Professor K. Hemchandra Reddy Garu, AP State Council of Higher Education, about 2 years back, to inculcate a habit of book reading. Those students who are now not having habit of going through the books. So in a way, these are the techie savvies, and so they can go through with the technical component, whether it is YouTube or Facebook. So in the same way, he's wanted to have an introduction of the books to some reviewers. So today we have with us the book reviewer is Miss Pallavi, Sri Pallavi, who is going to review the book on My Life in Full, written by INDRA NOOYI. Most of the students of the young generation may be knowing about INDRA NOOYI, who is the CEO of PepsiCo. And she has written a book, My Life in Full, is a autobiography. That book is going to be reviewed by Miss Pallavi. Regarding the introduction of the reviewer of the today program, Ms. Sri Pallavi, who is working as project leader, assistant manager, analytic and civil product procurement in Larsen & Toubro. She worked as an assistant head of the supply of chain management, responsible for the maintaining of MIS and liaising with the L&T finance team, project team, and CEO office. She was the person who got selected from the L&T to study MTech course after her campus placement in her BTech from CBAT when he was doing her civil in CBAT. She was one of the top 240 members of the 5,000 applications selected for Build India Scholarship in 2018 by L&T. She did her MTech from National Institute of Technology, Surathkal, and offered a full-time job opportunity in L&T. Elected as the Master's Branch Representative 2018 to 2020 in Civil Engineering Department, NIT, Surathkal. She ranked the third out of the 140 students in BTech Civil at CBIT, Hyderabad. Her passion is hiking, going to the places, almost all places of South India she could make it. And she has got the passion of book reading, and she is going to review the book of INDRA NOOYI, the present My Life in Full. Now I leave it to book reviewer Sri Pallavi.
Thank you, sir. I thank Professor Hemachandra Garu for giving me this opportunity to review a book which I am closed because I have read a lot of books, and always the book written on women has always fascinated me. And today I feel elated to share and review this particular book with you. So as sir has spoke, I'm reviewing today on the book written by the famous INDRA NOOYI. Like there are a lot of companies worldwide, but why today we are speaking about INDRA NOOYI? And when there are a lot of Indians abroad, but still why are we speaking about her in particular? It's because she is the first woman CEO from India. And she is one of us, and throughout her life she has been one of us. So coming to the introduction, so she was honored and respected by almost many global leaders like Manmohan Singh and Obama. So the book is written by INDRA NOOYI, and she starts with her kind words regarding the global leaders. She says how they have been kind to her. When she has moved from India to the US, neither did the Indians stop treating her as she has moved from India, nor did the American president keep her away just because she's from another country. And she wants to give this message through this book, how she has been able to balance her life and her career and her housework as a woman. So what she says is, looking back, she sees how her life is in full. Like, there are competing forces for all of us. There are some things which we are passionate about, but we are not able to do them because of many factors and many constraints. And today, I just want to review how her life has been as a woman and as a Indian and immigrant from India to US. So in this book, she talks about her work and her family and her role as a mother. Like many mothers across the world who always are in a self doubt and apprehension whether whatever they are giving to the children and the family is enough, or whether the support they are rendering is enough to meet the needs of the family. And as a perspective of a CEO who is regarded as a benchmark of who is regarded as a benchmark in every corporate like company, we want to see how her life has been, and if we can apply any of her learnings in our own life, and if we can make it optimal. So she has written in this book regarding also regarding the women across the globe, how their struggles are, and how her perspective as a woman has been working in the corporate. And also she has written on how women have supported her, and how the whole family has come hand in hand during her pregnancy or during her shift from one region to another region. Also, she states the term called ideal worker, where now in our society, a person is expected to work 24 by 7. But she wants to say that she wants to tell to all the people worldwide that this concept of worker doesn't work every time, because a person needs his own space. He cannot be expected to accomplish all the needs, but he has to be given flexibility in terms of work and life balance. So how she has taken her role of as a leader, being the CEO of PepsiCo or being the CFO, and sometimes being the vice president. And also she has talked about this particular term called performance with purpose, which she initiated in PepsiCo. So throughout this book, we will see how she has taken the whole company through hand in hand, like the journey of herself and the company and her family along with her, and how she has been able to balance all these things. So growing up, Indra Nooyi is basically from a typical South Indian Madrasi family, and if you see the pictures, this is her house in Chennai, T Nagar in Chennai. And since Indra Nooyi's grandfather, paternal grandfather, who is also available in this right picture, he worked as a judge. He is a retired judge, and he has spent his entire savings in building this huge house at Chennai. And this is where Indra Nooyi's whole childhood was spent. And she says this, that the head of the household and of the family resided in the men's room, but the heart and soul was around the swing. So the swing is also like this. This picture is taken from her own book, and what she wants to say is, yes, the decisions, the economic decisions, financial decisions of the family rests in the hands of the head, that is her paternal grandfather. Usually, this is how the Indian family works, mostly patriarchal. That is, the power lies in mostly in the hands of men, But she wants to point out that though the decisions are taken by the head, the heart lies with her mother, who is always chattering and who is always managing tasks, never-ending tasks. And though she doesn't have a fixed framework of responsibilities, how she does everything on time and how she has been able to render her maximum service to either the parent or the grandparents or the children around. And growing up, Indra Nooyi has studied in Madras. And coming to her family, her father has a mathematics background, and he was working in a bank in Chennai. And she says he is very soft spoken and a wise man. She also uses this line that we have 2 ears and one mouth, because the same ratio applies while we are listening to and when we are speaking. That is, she wants to say we have to listen more and speak less. That is how her father was. And growing as a kid, she was always like a tomboy. She always wanted to explore things. She did not want. She was not restrained from any activity, being a girl. And she mentions that her family being supportive and not treating her different from the boys around helped her a lot, even in her career or the way she makes decisions. And also, her father has always been a calm person, and he tagged her along whenever he went anywhere. So this way, she kept learning from the world of her mother, who is a woman and who is also very cheerful. And also, she kept learning from her father, who was simple, and she came to know the world of men. This is because she wants to say that the way of thinking of both men and women is different. And further, even as a kid, she has been able to analyze so much. And we will understand further that in her life, she had applied all these principles, and she had shown what difference a woman can make if she rules a company or if she rules a government. And in the last picture, we can see this is Indra Nooyi to the left, and her sister Chandrika and her brother Nandu. So she always had a very happening environment around her. Like she had a lot of cousins, and being in Chennai, one of the most painful thing is there is water scarcity. So she always knew how water is very important in every household work. And she also mentioned that how family is the foundation and force that propelled her. And also she mentions about her grandfather playing an active role to create this habit of reading books. He always gave them sophisticated books like Jane Eyre or some other Charlotte Bronte books, which were very huge, maybe thousands of pages, and they always had to go through it and summarize it to him. That is how he nurtured his grandchildren in those olden days, by providing them education and imagination. And she also mentioned about her mother and father. This is where she says, we have 2 ears and one mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. And coming to the town she was brought up in, that is Madras. So Madras is people regard that it is very hot and humid, but it also has all flavors of people, culture, and different things going around. Though it is regarded as sleepy, nerdy town, but it is always safe, and you can see many things happening around, be it culture wise, spiritual wise, education wise. It is fully developed in all aspects. And it is also a mix of ancient and colonial offices. Like all this, when you explore the streets of Madras, you can see this, you can witness all these things. Also, she says, like because more than half of her life she has spent in US, where people have to express their love. When you want to say that you love someone, you have to express it to them either by words or by some gestures. But in India, always love is assumed. No, like it is very unusual to see a mother expressing her love by words. It is always assumed that yes, my mother loves. So that is where she mentions always it was told to her that respect is in a form. When I respect someone and they respect me back, that is the love they give me, or that the support they give me is indirectly the love that they have for me. That is what she has understood throughout her childhood. And as a child, understanding this fact is not easy. And also, she mentions about this phrase that we would have heard everywhere: "Mata, Pita, Guru, Daivam." That is, parents, grandparents as well, and the teachers are all regarded as God. That is the respect that we should render to them. And also, being a child, she was very active. She was given many tasks by her mother, like putting away dishes or grinding coffee beans or churning the buttermilk in an old traditional way. Also, she was very much interested to attend school and was an active participant in debating. She had been to New Delhi and Bombay for many debating programs. Also, she wants to say this that family, as powerful as it is, can also be so fragile. This is when she quoted, like, being a child, her father was transferred to the nearby place, and when he was driving his Vespa, like the scooter, he had a very terrible accident where he was bedridden for a few days. And seeing him, as a child, seeing him made her go through a lot of pain, because all the days it was very cheerful around, and seeing her appa back at home was always fun for her. But then one day when all this happened, then she realized that yes, family supports you, but when small things or some major accidents happen, then it can be so fragile and it affects the child and childhood. We can see many incidents happening around us. And then after her father had recovered, then again she got into her spirits, and she joined in chemistry program in Madras Christian College. That is where she had learned many of the chemistry related courses, and also she started a music band, Logarithms. And after which she was actually clueless what to do, or how she can propel through in the life. Then her own sister, 1 year elder probably, she has done master's program. She has applied for master's program, and right now doing an MBA has become very common. But back in those days, it was really considered as a Hercules task. Like clearing the MBA, clearing the IIM is a very big thing, and being a woman clearing it was another challenge. So when her sister was able to do it, she also made it a point that maybe she was also interested in marketing. So she had also wanted to apply for IIM. So this when Indra Nooyi's sister, or Indra Nooyi, were very much dedicated and were able to achieve seats in IIMs. She wanted to describe what her mother felt, because being from a Brahmin Tamil family, they always had this notion that girls were meant to be get married early, and then they were regarded to look after the house and all the other chores. But her daughters were very much interested to go out, see the world, explore the world, and do their part to serve better. So she wants to tell that her mother is the kind of person who has one foot on the brake to make sure her daughters were protected and well mannered, and the other foot on the accelerator to help her girls gain respect, independence, and power. That means on one side she wanted to push them, and on the other side she wanted to pull them back. So that is how the things worked back then. I think that this happens even now as well. So this is the next phase of her life, where she achieved a seat in IIM Calcutta. Even now, this is regarded as a prestigious institution for MBA. Like there are very few seats, about 200 seats, and right now, like we say, IIM ABC. ABC is Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Calcutta. So achieving a seat there is a very hard task. you have to be the 100th percentile scorer. So when she achieved a seat in IIM Calcutta, her father helped her through and made this decision, and he helped her shift from Madras to Calcutta. Calcutta is a bit different from Madras, region-wise, and language-wise. But I think because this campus being a place where people from all over India come, it wasn't a problem for NOOYI. And she started studying her favorite subjects, democracy and capitalism, which I mean, these were her favorite subjects only because she was very much interested in studying or reading books. So she wanted to understand how things worked for people or how the markets ran. So that is how she gained interest and she studied finance, marketing, operations, strategy, economics, and team dynamics. And this is where she was exposed to many concepts of supply chain management. That is how, like to construct or to make to manufacture a thing, a product, like suppose a pen, then the raw materials have to come from different parts of India or different states or different regions. So how can they optimally produce something in a given time, or how can they reduce the time of production? So all these concepts were very much interesting to her, and she also modeled some factory schedules. That is, whenever there is a mass production, we have particular schedules to be followed, and this scheduling this is a very big job. We have to analyze the delays, and we have to see what are the expectations of the manufacturers, and also resetting production plans and preparing the routing system for truck fleet. Then she had studied many case studies. One of the case study which she was impressed by is the Dabbawalas in Mumbai, where the people deliver food service from home to offices or to schools. So this delivery system was used as one of the B school case study. And also she then after a year she had acquired summer internship at Department of Atomic Energy. This is where she learned how to schedule nuclear power plants construction, and how the delays might happen, and how business might treat business as a corporate world, and government and business is different. Working in government is different. Working in private sector is different. But after this book, I feel it's not different. It is the same. It is how both depend on each other. So that is what she has learned in this phase. And during all this time, like during her first year of MBA, very hard news for her is that her paternal grandfather suffered a stroke. So it is like this. It is in everyone's life. It is not stable all time. Some you might be excelling somewhere, but there might be some other situation, maybe personal or family wise, where things won't look colorful every time. So this was one such case for Indra Nooyi, where her grandfather had suffered a stroke, and they lost him. So she was called back to Madras for a few days, and that was when she remembered her grandfather. He always encouraged her, saying, "If you take on something, you must give it your all." And he also said, "The mind should always be working, and Satan has work for idle hands." So these are a few phrases which we would have also heard from our grandparents. And the next chapter was so she working somewhere, from like getting the opportunity to work through IIM. These days require work experience, maybe 2 or 3 years. But then back then, achieving a seat there in IIM Calcutta and having zero experience, but still she really fought hard to acquire a position in one of the famous textile company back then, Mettur Beardside. So after her MBA, she had to work in Madras, and in this particular company, textile company. So this during this interview, she had met 2 to 3 gentlemen from the UK who started this company, who had helped her a lot further in her life. So she says, at IIM Calcutta, I was in school with men, taught by men, and studied the work of men to enter industries dominated by men. That was the situation back then, where everything was taught by men, and everywhere you see the organization or the industry was led by men, and it was dominated by men. So she wanted to tell her experiences of how she had propelled through this whole uh, through all the phases. And during her employment at this particular textile company, she was given a training for 6 months period. And this happened in Bombay. And when she was in Bombay, her when she was in Bombay, she was staying in some of her relatives' place, and she had restrictions there as well. I mean, she was not allowed coming home after 7 p.m. So she just wants to spot out the differences being a woman, a working woman, and living away from the family. And in this particular company, she had to memorize all the codes for the threads or the color codes, and how the sewing machines work, and how the thread behaves. After her training period, she was moved to Madras, her hometown, and she had to help the product manager move the company uh, in into more colored and printed fabric phase. And also she was given a task to select the next season's colors. And when she was given the task, here she had learned a lot from her MBA. So the main thing that she learned was how the previous data helps us analyze and make a better design for tomorrow. So that is how she adopted this strategy of past analysis, where she studied the designs that were a hit back then, or she also studied on the designs that were a flop. And then she went to Pondicherry many times from Madras, which is just 2 hours journey from here. And she met the production team, and she was very much attentive to the details, and she had deep interest. So she worked out everything well, and she had come through the designs for the next season, and she made it through. What this whole thing conveys is, without previous experience, she had come into this industry, and only by her keen observation, she had made it in 6 months. She had made it such that she was able to design new products to a company. That was her ability. Then after the Metul BHL episode, she has joined in Johnson and Johnson. And Johnson and Johnson, as we all know, this company was responsible to bring women's sanitary pads. And she was selected as a product manager for the launch of Stay Free, which is widely used currently. And the challenges she faced here was, it is a taboo in India when we talk about pads, or when we talk about periods, until today. So back then, it was really challenging for her to make it acceptable to people, to reach it to people, to reach it to the women, to start using them. And also, considering the environmental conditions of India, the manufacturing of pads was difficult and different from the Western, from how they did it in the Western places. And also, she had to explain her research and progress to the higher management. And them being men, it was really difficult for her. And also, advertising plays a huge role in Indian market. So whenever we see the ads, and the ads have to reach all the women, have to give women this idea that using them is not harmful, or it makes their life easy go. So all these were challenging, but then she was able to move it forward. She stayed for a while, like a year, and then once she had gone to a supermarket to buy some magazine, and she found this brochure, A Shade of Difference, that is the prestigious Yale University's business school application. So the moment she had gone through the brochure, she decided she has to get into this program anyways. So she had given her GMAT exam back then, and she made through it, and she received an admission to the prestigious Yale University. Now, considering her background, she's a Tamil Brahmin, hailing from Madras, and the mother's practices in the house were very orthodox. Considering all these things, she had to weigh her decisions, whether she has to go out because it was her dream, or whether she has to stay back for the family. Then, with her parents' support, she was able to achieve this dream, and they sent her to US to pursue her business school dream. And after going to the US, she had this feeling of loneliness, because all these days in India we are always used to live together. I mean, the whole house will be crowded with cousins or with the family members, and everything happens, and there is no particular schedule for anyone. Everyone depends on each other. But then once she had left to US, that was when she encountered this loneliness, because that is when she had to work for herself. She had to meet her own needs, and she also made decision to return back to India, because she found the food habits and the cultural habits are different from India. So she wants to spot out the differences between the education pattern in India and the US, back in the US. She says how students have a free flow discussion with the professors, or how there are debates, and how the professors make complex things very simple. And there she had hands-on experience on these case studies related to Gillette, the shaving blade brand, or some finance issues, or the political polling. So she wants to say that the business schools back and abroad involve the students in decision making regarding politics or finances or major industries around. Also, when she was at Yale, which is a global business school, there were people from many people from the Western countries, and she did not feel welcoming. And being an immigrant and a person of color, she was always uneasy about her looks. So once, when she was going for the summer internship consulting at Booz Allen Hamilton, she did not have proper clothes, or she was really insecure the way she looked. So that was when her professors came to her aid, and they asked her to be confident and to be herself while she was at the interview. And luckily, among all the other students, she was chosen for this summer internship, because they did not bother about the looks, but they actually tested the way she thought and how her thoughts are different from the crowd. So when she was selected for this summer internship, she had to move from the Yale University to Chicago for a brief period of 3 months, and that was where she met her future husband Raj. And Raj Nooyi was and he's from working at Chicago, and he's from Bangalore. And after a brief friendship of 2 to 3 months, they decided to get married. And then after that episode, she had informed her parents on her decision, and she had come back to Yale for her remaining second year of MBA. And she really wanted to get into a consultancy group. She wanted to work with the consultancy firm. That was when she chose BCG, Boston Consultancy Group, the most coveted company globally, which analyzes all types of businesses, their performance, and also suggests the future trend of any business. And BCG even now is an evergreen company, and it's almost every MBA graduate's dream to get into BCG. So after 7 to 8 rounds of interviews, she was able to crack this BCG, and she had got an offer letter to work there. After her second year of Yale, after her graduation, when her siblings had come to Yale for her graduation, that was when she decided to get married, and Raj NOOYI and INDRA NOOYI got married at Chicago. Now, like any other woman, she was yes. There are changes in her life as well. She has come out from her parents' support, and has entered into a new phase of life, being a wife as well as a new graduate from the Yale University, and also working in the prestigious BCG. So now she had to find her foundation. So now INDRA NOOYI describes her professional life after achieving her MBA from Yale. So here, first she has worked in this rubber industrial work boot manufacturer, Service Rubber, as a management consultant. So while she was working for BCG, she had to serve or work as a consultant for the Service Rubber. So here, what we I think we all might wonder what are the work challenges there, or how is the work out there. And to answer these, INDRA NOOYI says that they work for these things, these couple of questions. What are the value drivers of the business, and how might they change? What are the strategic options to create value over time, and what investments do they need to make, and how should they organize the business? So when the company is growing, at a larger scale, exponentially, they do not understand where are they investing money and where are they losing. So this analysis is forgotten. So that is when they hire consultants to see whether the company is going in the right direction, or whether the investments they are making are behind or are at the wrong path or in the place. So that is when the consultants pitch in and help them. So here, when INDRA NOOYI was working as a consultant, she was speaking to all the departments, operations, sales, and product managers, and she was in the factory talking to the workers. She was getting to know all the things, and then she had to design, and she had to explain the CEO of Service Rubber whether the investments made are correct, whether they are in line with the future demand, and whether the trends of the fiscal report of the company are good. So that is how she started her career as a management consultant. She also worked for a couple of companies for HVAC, that is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems for Train, a company called Train, and for a citrus processing machines manufacturer, and even in the tissue and toilet paper manufacturing division. So she worked as consultant for all these different companies, and she explains how the life before Excel and before laptops was very tedious for her, because they had to make everything manually. The reports were made manually. The Excels and the graphs were plotted manually. And now, talking about her work life, so simultaneously, there was much happening in her personal life as well. Like, her husband had decided to get an MBA, so he was out of the job, and she was the only person supporting the family, and she had to even clear her loan for the Yale. And her brother had opted for Yale, and her sister had been working in McKinsey, which is also a consultancy company. And during this time, her father was infected with jaundice, and that was when all of them had fled back to India. And seeing her father in this phase, uh, they all were shattered, because they only remember their father to be cheerful and supportive all the way along, and they never saw him being dull or a little bit lifeless. So when they went to see their father, they came to know that he was suffering from pancreatic cancer, and this phase, her own company BCG had supported her a lot by giving her 6 month pay, 6 month off with pay, and that was when she had a chance to be the daughter that she wanted to be, and she brought her father to back to USA after a month, and they started his treatment. But then they were not successful, and she lost her father for cancer. And during this whole time, when she was taking care of her father, she came to know that she was as well pregnant. Now she had many roles and responsibilities. Not only being a management consultant, she was considered to be a working woman. She was considered to be a wife, a daughter, and now a new role, a mother. Then in 1984, she had her first daughter, and many people thought she would stop there. But then, after 3 months of maternity leave, she continued to work back, and that was when she described that she missed the baby's first words and first steps. Not only this, Indra Nooyi had a lot of challenges. One among them was the accident where she had suffered with a broken hip in 1986. And after this, she wanted to stay near home, not travel much, because consultancy jobs involve much of traveling to the site to the client's locations. And then she shifted to a company called Motorola. So in Motorola, this company was the company which worked with NASA. And here in the picture, you can see this is the picture taken by Neil Armstrong, and he is using Motorola's camera. And she was not equipped with the knowledge of electronics, but then she was chosen to work as head of strategy. Then in 1986, her mother left for India. All these days, she had her mother's support, and when her mother had left, she was, I mean, she had a small daughter, and she had a very plenty of plenty of things to do in her work life as well. So now she was in search of a care ecosystem for her daughter. Then she had consulted many care houses, but then some of her extended family, both from her husband's side and her side, had offered help coming from India, looking after the small child and supporting her in her career. And this is where she thinks how all the mothers worldwide work without support being rendered. And if at all there was no support, then all the women decided, most of the women decided not to work. That was where the downfall, even for the most smart woman, started. And that is what she wanted to rectify, or to ask people to support during women during that phase. And in 1988, she was promoted as Director of Corporate Strategy and Planning in Motorola. This was when she was asked to make a strategy for the company for the company to invest in different in different units. Like Motorola was manufacturing only circuits, but then they wanted to see if they can work in other industries as well. She made a 6-hour presentation, but then since she did not find appreciation to her work and that her work was not moving forward, so she decided to move from there. This is very important because women these days do not know when they are stuck because they're caught up with a lot of things around, maybe family wise or maybe personal issues wise. So they do not know when they are stuck, they need to move. This is what she teaches us from her life. That when she was stuck, she wanted to move to a different place. She wanted to change, and then she wanted to achieve during after moving to a different place. Then she was selected. She was selected in ABB, which is also which work for combustion engineering, power generation systems, and here the same person who had taken Indra Nooyi in Motorola was heading ABB as well, Gerard. So she moved along with Gerard, and she was given a position of senior vice president of strategy and strategy planning, and she had to travel regularly. And these are the things she wanted to understand working here. How was the power demand likely to be in the next years, and what are the generation capacity of steam or gas for manufacturing the power generation, and how old is the installed base. So for all these things, because she was from the chemistry background, she had deployed two to three university professors to understand the electronics and communication subjects. And this was when she told that she was working for Gerard because wherever Gerard was, she was moving into the same company. And meanwhile, at her home, she was facing this glitches between the husband and her mother because the way of parenting of from her mother was different from the way her husband wanted her daughter to be. So this was one thing. Another thing was she came to know that she was pregnant for the second time, and she describes how multi-generational living in India helped and supported many parents these days. And in 1992, she had her second kid. So during this phase, usually women they go through a lot of things. One is when they are working, they are expected to make a lot out of their working hours, and the other thing is they had to prioritize the children's needs and the family needs, and that was when she had gone through a lot of emotional and physical stress sometimes, and also she had observed this feelings of her first child. When usually when the second child is born, the first child feels jealous, and she feels she is not being under the spotlight. So during all this phase, she was always preoccupied or she was short tempered. This is very common, and women need to calm down in this phase, and they need to understand the needs of the children, and they need to act accordingly. And the major thing is they need to have the support to be calm. This is what Indra Nooyi describes in her book, that men around and the family around should make sure that the women are calm through all the phases of the life. That is what prospers the whole house and family. And she also had these thoughts to take a break from the work and then to return later, but then she couldn't find any case nearby. So because once if she takes a break, then will she be accepted again? These were all the self doubts that she had. And also apart from this, there were many things happening in USA because after enrolling her daughter in the school, her daughter faced a serious issue of extreme, where other people did not treat her equally. Her own teachers did not treat her equally, and she was regarded as an immigrant and a person, a black person. So the children back at school were not sitting and eating with her, or the professors had some issue teaching to her. So Indra Nooyi was wanted to take care of all the things at her hand. She had to take care of her daughter, and so immediately she had shifted her daughter to some other school. So what she wants to tell us is it is not always about work for women mainly. It is not always about work. Well, for men it is all laid. It is well laid. It is well planned because they have a support. Usually, it is men are considered as breadwinners and men as support back at home. When women work, that is not the case. So this is what she wants to tell us. And then after this, she had a new boss at ABB who kept calling her honey, or he referred her to be too feminine, that she can't operate the male dominated business. So for these reasons, she had to quit ABB. These things actually fascinate anyone who reads this book because it's common that it's common. I mean, everywhere we see male domination, or where there are men who consider women to be soft, gentle, and who cannot do the tasks that they do. So here Indra Nooyi wanted to point out that when there are such cases, you have a choice whether to be there or get out from the situation. So that was how she moved to PepsiCo. So after the brief interview with the CEO, she accepted the offer letter, though she had some concerns because she was always working with the electronics, or she was working with the hardcore engineering companies. Now she's moving into the food and beverage industry. Will she be able to manage? But then she was very optimistic, saying she can see, smell, touch, and taste the business now because she is going into the food and beverage industry. And PepsiCo, as we all know, Pepsi and Coke were always rivals. They had a lot of issues on between them. Pepsi sometimes Coke always pointed out that Pepsi had something that is harmful, or like there were a lot of wars between them. So and also PepsiCo, when Indra Nooyi went, it had three different branches. It was serving beverages, snacks, and it was also into restaurants such as Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut. So she faced many problems. One of the problem was why the restaurants were losing money, or the investments to restaurants was not fulfilled. And when the method that Indra Nooyi adopted was, along with the CEO, it was the CEO's idea. They had gone to each restaurant and they saw what was the fault of PepsiCo, why PepsiCo was not succeeding, because they were not giving priority or attention to the people working there. So when the workers are not given priority or attention, then the same is reflected in the work. That is what she has learned from this case study. And also, she faced many issues with the bottle manufacturers because we all know that PepsiCo and many other products, beverages are served through these bottles. So she faced, while she was working there, she faced an issue with the bottle manufacturers, and she was able to work it out. And unheard meetings, well, there are a few instances where she was not heard by the men in the meetings. That was when she chose to leave the meeting. And that was when people recognized that she had a point, but she was not heard just because she was a female. So that is when she brought herself into the trade, and she had traded her ideas. And also during her tenure working in PepsiCo, this major change has happened. That is, they bought Tropicana. Tropicana was previously operated by other individuals, and then PepsiCo had bought it. And there were many issues going on because PepsiCo was regarded as a sugary drink, and people thought it affects people with diabetes. So, so that was when that was what always where Indra Nooyi felt discomfort. And she felt that PepsiCo was always manufacturing things that were considered as junk food. But then she wanted to come out of it, and she wanted to tell people that she wanted to bring in products, some healthy products, so that there is no label of junk food for PepsiCo. And then in the spring of 2000, she was declared to be the CFO, Chief Finance Officer of PepsiCo. Now she had a lot of departments working under her. And during this course of time, she had to buy Quaker Oats and Gatorade. Both the products were considered to be healthy. And while all this was happening, she always had a guilt that she was not being a full-time mother to her children. This is usually the case with the working mothers, because when they see the daughters, especially going through adolescence, or when the daughters are getting to know things around and they are growing up, and when the parents support or the parents' full attention is not there, that bothers parents a lot. That is what triggered her as well. And during many parts of her life, during many phases, she always had this guilt that she was never there for them full time. Then in December 2000, she was also nominated to be the president of PepsiCo. Though she had, and the challenges she had a lot of challenges working as president as well. But one thing she was able to achieve was acquiring Quaker Oats, Gatorade, and Tropicana, which were not junk foods but the breakfast options for several people across the world right now. And also during this time, the Fortune magazine had clicked her picture, and it was on the cover page of the magazine. That was when news was brewing about an Indian migrant maybe being the next CEO. So this was when a lot of you would have heard that when she had become the president, her mother always wanted her to leave the crown in the carriage. So her mother, as a woman, she wants her daughter to rise, but she did not want her to lose the role as a dedicated wife. This is always there in our community. But how we get support from them and how women work is what Indra Nooyi serves the best as example. And then in 2006, she was made the CEO of PepsiCo. And when she started working, she was wondering why there is no female in the Fortune 500 CEO list. And she made it there, being the 11th female CEO in the Fortune 500. And in 2007, she received Padma Bhushan Award from famous Abdul Kalam sir. And the main thing that Indra Nooyi is remembered by PepsiCo and by the world is how she fought the environmental issues. We all see plastic and wrappers of Pepsi, Cola everywhere these days. So how she fought for it. So now all the years long there were male CEOs, but I think no one's mind had gone through the directions of environmental issues or how to conserve water. But Indra Nooyi, being the woman CEO, her mind was always into it because she has faced water scarcity while she was young in Madras, and also when she had got photos from the National Geography where she saw the bottles of PepsiCo in the Atlantic Ocean or in the other parts, she was always worried about it. So she wanted to work for it. So she has set immediate action. She has come up with an idea, with a plan called Performance with Purpose, where she will nourish humanity, replenish environment, and she will cherish the people around her. While many people working in PepsiCo, the top management has considered this idea to be a joke because it was too feminine, it was too soft. The idea was not something which would fetch them money, but it was something which would prosper everyone. And And when she had made it possible, then that was how she stood out from the men leaders. That was how her ideas had impacted PepsiCo for further years as well. And she also appointed an R&D chief scientific officer, Mahmood Khan. So he played an active role in cutting down the sugar and salt, and but still maintaining the taste and products. And also they together conserved a lot of water. They saved about 6 billion water a year, 6 billion liters of water a year. And then previously, when we see the PepsiCo, when we saw the PepsiCo ad or anything, we always considered it to be a junk or a sugary drink. But then after Indra Nooyi had taken her place as CEO, the PepsiCo label has looked like this, where it had products which were not considered as junk, but which were good breakfast options or cereal options and best juice options. And through her efforts, PepsiCo was able to win the Stockholm Water Prize, which was the top award for conservation and protection of water resources. And also, she wanted to make sure that all the workers in PepsiCo felt that this company was theirs too. It was not an individual's company. So she wanted to write letters to everyone who worked for the company. Now, here in the slide, you can see one of the letter that she had received, saying how that person's mother, who was blind and recovering from the hospital, sounded more excited because she had received a letter from the CEO, Indra Nooyi, regarding her son being an excellent performer in the company. These are some of the tasks which I think will not be seen much in the companies led by men, because women have a mix of being gentle and as well as good decision making skills. That is what we can learn from her whole life and from her own deeds. And being a CEO, she has gone to many places. She has visited she has been to the market tours in many countries as well. And she has met all the global leaders. And during her last phase of retirement, she enjoyed many activities such as tennis, ballroom dance, and walking. And when she retired, though it was painful to the PepsiCo organization, but still her deeds always remain. And this is her family picture right now. I mean, when she has retired, and she always says that it was the most fruitful time, though she had to choose to be an CEO, more of CEO, a little of mother. And also she thought was deserved to relax, and that was when she had opted to retire. And this was one of her picture honored to be included in the Smithsonian Institution's National Portrait Gallery. And the main thing she focuses on is diversity and inclusion should stay. Diversity and inclusion means as a woman and as a woman of color and immigrants, all this bifurcation shouldn't be there in the world. So she ends on a note. I hope that any girl, any person of color, any immigrant, any American who looks at this picture of her, will not only see a picture. I hope they will see that anything is possible, and I hope they will find their own way of bringing their spirit and talents to bear on the work of lifting up this country and our world. So, as a woman, she has lifted our country, the spirit of our country, the talent of our country, and she has showcased it to the whole world. So that is what she wants to convey to all of us. Never limit yourself. Being a woman, never limit yourself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pallavi. Because presenting the Indra Nooyi's life itself is a lesson for all the young generation students to have an aim and to proceed with the aim. So on behalf of AP State Council of Higher Education, I thank you for presenting the brief introduction of Indra Nooyi's life as a a guideline for the young generation, girl student especially. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.